Want to fight about it?
All right, what is up, fight fans? We are back for another episode of the Want to Fight About It podcast here on the Fantasy Sports Corporation. I'm your host, as always, Stephen Rochelle. We got a fun one for you this evening. Got my good friend Danielle Curtis sitting in the back, waiting to have some fun. Another one of these fun up and coming women mixed martial artists in the world of combat sports. Definitely got to hear from her. Let's kick it off. Let's not waste any time. You know how we do this thing, folks, and let's hear what we gotta say.
Fighting out of the red corner.
Out of Nova Martial Arts.
I'm going to be a better athlete.
Great job, though, of closing that distance.
I'm going to be a better fighter.
Beautiful timing on that takedown.
I'm going to have more skills.
Constant pressure.
I appreciate every single opponent that actually steps in there.
Danielle Curtis.
All right, without any further ado, our guest for this evening, for this afternoon, or wherever you're catching from us, whatever time zone we may be in when we're coming across this, Miss Curtis, how are we doing this morning from where you're at?
So good. Thank you so much for having me on, and that was a great little intro clip there, and also the intro clip for the show is like a banger as well.
Yeah, my guys over here at the Fantasy Sports Corporation try to make everything a little fun. We also shared the video with you to let you know what it was. Same thing with our background image. Jay and the armchair athletes. Always take care of us.
They do a great job. Feeling very loved already.
yeah, and obviously, lots of stuff has been going on in the combat sports world. Did you happen to catch UFC Fight Night a few weeks ago with the what was it? The
Yes.
girl Chandler got rocked, runs over right into the corner, try to keep herself from falling down on her back. Have you ever seen anything like that? Like when someone was rocked doing something crazy like that?
Like, I've seen people run. We've all seen people run. Like, you think about when Stipe and Overeem fought, and Stipe had Overeem hurt. He turned his back and sort of ran away, but not, I guess, to that extent. Like, I've definitely seen people turn their backs when they've been hurt, or sort of run, but not, I guess, not running specifically in a straight line.
The greatest one ever, right?
yeah. And I mean, like, it wasn't just like a few steps. Like she full on went sprint mode. Maybe in her camp they used to doing a round of sparring and then immediately sprints or something. That was wild.
That weekend was crazy too. That event had all kinds of crazy stuff. You had the girl with the elbow dislocation.
Oh, that was a bad one.
Gnarly. Just trying to post up after being taken down, and just the sheer force of it. It was just, as soon as I seen him,
she was such a trooper too. She's just like holding it, walking herself out, just like, oh no.
And then what else did we have that night? That was the boxing girl flashing, right?
Yeah.
Now the ironic part about it, I don't know if you heard about it post mortem or whatever, that she wound up they wound up removing her from the rest of the tournament. She wasn't able to.
Doesn't surprise me. But I actually had to have a laugh as soon as I seen that sort of blow up everywhere. I messaged one of my friends who actually messaged Ty Emery, and I was sort of like, she's stealing your move. Like the Nate Diaz, she's taking everything you work for.
At least Ty didn't get kicked out of her respective promotion. And doesn't Ty do LFC too?
Yeah, bare knuckle. Bare knuckle.
I know she does
boxing, I think.
bare knuckle, but I thought she did what was it, lingerie fighting championship as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe.
It's definitely a interesting time in the combat sports world. There is no
Isn't it
shortage of
ever?
a place where athletes can get paid for throwing down.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
boxing's kind of making a big comeback. I mean, this weekend you got the Jake Paul fight, but underneath the Jake Paul fight, that everyone I think should be talking more about is Heather Hardy and Amanda Serrano.
Oh, absolutely. Like both of those women, people love to fight, love to watch fight. And then obviously the fact that they're fighting each other, like that's a great fight. I think it'll be very entertaining. Although, pretty sure Serrano gets that one done.
Yeah, especially just we're just doing boxing.
Yeah.
Nothing against Heather Hardy. She's definitely an elite boxer. But
But time
the
away.
funny part is they both done MMA. Obviously, Heather did Bellator MMA a couple fights.
Yeah.
Some time ago. Same with Amanda. She did Combates. She's done grappling tournaments. She's done she's literally she's a
And she's
a
more
very well
consistently-
sharpened Swiss knife.
Yeah, yeah. I think she's been a bit more consistently like still sticking with boxing though.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, that's what's going to be the difference. Like, unfortunately, you got to keep the tools sharp in that specific discipline.
All right, so obviously we're
Makes a
talking
big
about that.
difference.
What are your thoughts on what's going to happen? Diaz Paul.
I don't know. I don't know if Nate's gonna get up and just leave the building halfway through the fight.
Well,
I'm
no, like
assuming you've
everyone,
seen that
a lot
press
of people kind of
conference.
felt that Jake has been doing works. Do you think that Nate's is gonna be any part of that? And do you feel like it's gonna be something that Nate puts it on him pretty quick?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if Nate's the kind of guy to do that because I think Nate's the kind of guy to just, say yes to a fight and just be like, yeah, I'll fight that guy and then just do it. But I just think, and it's similar to what I was saying with Serrano and Hardy, is that like, unfortunately, boxing to stay really sharp and really good at it, you need to be doing just it. There's a big difference. There's a big difference when you're doing all these different things. And I mean, Jake Paul has done nothing but specifically work on boxing for the last, however many years now. Any and all training partners, coaches, or whatever he needs. And he's big. He's very big. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a work or not. I'd be pretty disappointed if it is. I think legitimately Nate's just the kind of guy to be like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll get paid. I don't care. I don't give a shit. Yeah.
I don't think he would want to embarrass himself. He's not going to make himself look bad no matter what.
Yeah, I don't think he can though. Like Nate has always been the guy that like, it's not that he's the greatest fighter that's ever lived. It's that he's loved and adored.
No matter what.
Yeah, he's loved and adored because he is that gangster that's just like, I'll fight him. I don't care who they are. I'll turn up. I'll fight him. And I'll have someone hurt and point and laugh at them instead of finishing the fight.
And speaking of crazy fights, obviously, got to get your thoughts. Fury Nagano. Were you excited when they made that announcement?
Yes, and I'll still believe it when it happens and I see them both walking out. I know that
we know how boxing
obviously
works in that regard.
Yeah, yeah, and anything kind of like cross combat sports, I never get too excited about them until they're actually happening. But obviously, super exciting fight. I really hope that Ngannou has been, again, specifically training nothing but boxing this entire time. I really hope, because even though he's an exceptional athlete and a great MMA fighter, again, to stay sharp and to be exceptionally good at boxing, you need to just be doing boxing. And like, he's incredibly strong, but I mean, so is Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury has done nothing but boxing. So, and it changes again. Like, that's the other thing. Gloves are different, stance is different, weight distribution is different. Like, obviously, the rules and things like the clinch and how you utilize that and how you deal with that's very, very different. And like, this is the one sort of time, I guess, that someone's going to be bigger stature wise than Ngannou. And we see Tyson Fury lean on opponents and tire them out a lot. And we also know that, I guess, Ngannou's worst performance, and yes, it was a long time ago, was against Stipe. And although that was a wrestle, he basically took that tactic of wrestling him to lean on him, make him tired, and break him down. And I feel like Tyson Fury has the ability to do that. Obviously, Ngannou has the ability to knock out anyone, but it also is very different in the bigger gloves compared to 4-ounce gloves.
That is a big difference. We're gonna see if Francis can make up the difference. We haven't really seen too many top level MMA guys go against top world class level boxing guys who are still actively competing. Everyone likes to throw in the Conor McGregor Floyd Mayweather fight, but that's not
Floyd's prime.
Yeah, I mean, and this still isn't Tyson's prime either. And we're kind of catching the back end of what could be Francis's run.
Yeah.
So like it's a lot of what if type questions, but if it does happen, it should be exciting to see how it happens. As you're sitting there saying, Tyson's been in there, get some of the best in the world. He's been rocked on his back, get back up and come back and finish a fight.
Yeah, doing the Undertaker, just sit up straight out of hell.
Like he's completely out unconscious. Wake up from the dead, beats the count, gets up and wins that fight. It's one of these things you haven't seen Francis do things like that. So it's like, it's really going to be interesting, the aspects, the different disciplines, things of that nature. And you were mentioning Stipe. He's got himself a big fight. He's got the big fish, the guy who's never been beaten in a title fight. John Jones.
That's a big task. And I think that's similar, like we're talking about, so the back end run.
But for both of them, if you really think, like, Stipe is kind of a little bit further along, but I still think John has a lot less than people think has to give.
Yeah, I think the thing is, like, everybody goes, but John's still so young. And it's like, yes, but John's been around for a long time. He's been doing it for a long time. Like, the reason why he took so long, making those moves and stuff is, obviously he was becoming a heavyweight, but he was also bored. Like, part of wanting to change divisions was that he felt like he had beaten everybody twice, and he's obviously incredibly good. And so I guess that was one of those things where he's like, well, it's taking the fun out of it. Yeah, so I agree. I think he is sort of on that downhill slope, that back end run. But I think the hardest thing for everyone is that we all still know how good he is, and that he's, doesn't look like he's slowing down or, I don't know, losing it. But obviously, John Jones being John Jones, he's going to want to leave at the top, and nothing, I think, will stop him from doing that, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll see. He's been special for some time, and
yeah,
eventually, father time catches us all. Age catches us all. Arrogance catches us all. It's one of these things. It's like, hopefully it's not one of those Anderson Silva things where it's like spectacularly blows up at the end there, because I mean, I mean, Anderson was, he was on a special run, and just arrogance and bad luck just really put an end to what it was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess it's one of those things as well when you have like a devastating injury like that as well, especially when you are sort of a bit further along in your career. You sort of wonder whether or not you're ever going to be the same when you come back. And I think it was like a passing of the guard kind of time anyway, where in the sport it was that kind of changing hands of that previous era into this new era where everyone is so well rounded, and like the level in general is so much higher now, and the game has had evolved. So I feel like it was all kind of at the same time as well. So a bit unfortunate
See,
for him.
that goes
Obviously,
into a question I always have for everyone. Everyone likes to say the GOAT. You can never say the GOAT when it comes to MMA and combat sports, because there's so many different variables, weight class, eras. As we're sitting there talking about, like, this era is so much more well rounded than Anderson's era. Anderson was so much more well rounded than the era before him, and then before that, like, when you had your Mark Coleman's and Ken Shamrocks of the world running around the UFC. So I always ask this: who is your Mount Rushmore of combat sports? It doesn't necessarily just have to be, MMA or boxing. Could be jujitsu. Could be a little bit of could be a little bit of karate. I don't know. What do you feel should be what represents what is the combat sports world?
that's hard because I'm probably like I feel like I probably shouldn't make decisions on the other combat sports because I don't feel like I'm as well versed in them. Like I definitely know them, but like obviously combat sports is my entire life. But I would probably just do an MMA one, to be honest. And even then, it's so hard. Like I think Amanda Nunes would be on there,
I agree.
number one. Like as in she's obviously one of the people that is undeniable. I think personally, I think DJ is actually one that should be up there.
Demetrius Johnson doesn't get mentioned enough. That I still think that flying armbar,
the mighty bar
is still the one of the craziest submissions you will ever see, and on any level.
Yeah, and you look at the way that he would beat people.
Master level stuff.
Yeah, and you look at the way that he would beat people too, and still does. Like, he doesn't. He's certainly, I feel like, a very, very good representation of a well-rounded fighter. He could do everything, and he can do everything. And it's been really cool seeing him over in one because how we were talking about before, cross combat sports and those kind of, exciting fights are generally always people beyond the peak of their career, whereas one has literally been doing those kind of fights, but actually with people at the very peak of their career. So seeing him have that fight against Rodtang, like that was so cool to watch. And so I think he's up there for me. I think it's really, really hard because, as we talked about, the game is evolving and changing. And so, like,
it's like I feel like I'm insulting someone by only getting 4 choices.
Yeah. And so, like when I look at everyone sort of saying GSP, and I look at, how many title defenses he had, and I go, yeah, but the difference between, say, like GSP and Alexander Volkanovski is GSP had one fight in the UFC and got a title shot. Like like his first title shot.
Literally, they were building weight classes around him, and at the time, a real young, Nick Diaz, and the real young Robbie Lawler. You still had Matt Hughes there.
So you look at like in the same weight division, you look at Aldo, and Aldo was the first champ. He got to fight for that belt straight away. no fights
people like
into
to
the
include
UFC.
his WEC run into that.
Exactly. And I understand why, but and then everybody, talks about that, oh, well, you have to equal that amount of, I guess, title defenses to sort of be in the same discussion. But realistically, nowadays, if you look at Volkanovski, he literally had to fight every single person. So he had 6, 7, 8 fights before he got a title shot. So if he had walked in, had one fight, got a title shot, now he'd be 20 fights deep in defenses kind of thing. So I find that's really, really hard. I think Volk should be up there. And then I feel like it would be really, really difficult to figure out the last one. I think John Jones is incredible, but I also feel like there's giant asterisks on his name because of his antics outside. And
the reason why he was doing those antics, not just the stuff getting himself arrested, the other stuff.
Yes, yeah. Obviously drugs and anything performance enhancing, there's a big asterisk on your name as soon as you are utilizing anything performance enhancing and you're not a clean athlete, which obviously, that doesn't take away what a great fighter he is, but for me, it's a big asterisk. So probably GSP, I guess, as the last one on there. But yeah, it's hard for me. It's really, really hard to say that all the greats of the previous eras, because obviously we wouldn't be here today without them. But I just don't think that they stack up to the modern era of fighters.
I think the skill level is kind of the bigger difference. I think if you go to what the machine is of what the UFC is now and put it back then, I think so many other guys, other women would have been looked at in a completely different light.
Yeah, absolutely.
Women that came before Ronda Rousey and Amanda Nunes that should be mentioned, and things of that nature. How big would Chuck Liddell actually have been? What would a Rampage Jackson been able to do if he was in the UFC time? What if Anthony Rumble Johnson was able to be at one weight class his whole career and found that home real early on instead of really kind of destroying his body going to 170 pounds, 180 before he actually found where he belonged.
Yeah, and you got to remember too, you look at people.
We're in a what-if universe.
Yeah, and we look at some of those people too. The other thing is that they didn't have certain weight divisions, and they didn't have things like, experienced dietitians and nutritionists and all that kind of stuff. We look now and we've seen Aldo, who was, the greatest featherweight of all time, and he spent his whole career there. And then in this modern era now, we've seen him move down to bantamweight and have success there. But imagine potentially if he had a dietitian previously and he had all that, those other coaches and impacts earlier on in his career, how would that have impacted, and what would we have seen out of that? Would he have been more dominant? Would he have been less dominant? And we look at things like Dominic Cruz. He has a specific style, but it is literally because there used to not be any little weight, smaller weight divisions. So, would he be a completely different fighter if he was able to fight at, bantamweight from the beginning of his career?
A lot I would have said, but real quick, let's get a quick word from our sponsor and come back with a few more before we start wrapping things up and slowing things down here.
Fantasy Sports Corp and Underdog Fantasy have teamed up to start your fantasy season off in the win column with Best Ball. What is Best Ball? It's quite simply the easiest way to win. No team management, no trades, no waivers. It's their biggest contest ever, and it has only gotten bigger. You simply have to sit and win. You don't even have to set your lineup. Always get your best score every week. Just enter a contest, draft your team, and Underdog will do the rest. What could make this even better? How about free money, up to $100 using our exclusive promo code? Go online now and use promo code WANNAFIGHT to double your deposit up to $100. You tell them Gingerbread sent you. Good girl.
All right, folks. Let's make sure you use the codes if you're one of our fantasy sports geek. And with that, let me get into this one. I like to ask everyone, if you could change the outcome of any UFC fight, boxing event, BKFC event, one of your fights, what would you like to see change?
I don't even need to think about it. It would be the rightful decision, an outcome of Alexander Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev. I was there, and obviously I'm a fighter, but I'm also trained to be an official as well. And when I look at the scoring criteria and I watch the fight back, I have no idea how that decision went the way it did. Obviously, it was close, so I can't be super mad about it, because anytime it is close and you can openly say that was close, you can't actually get upset about the result. But scoring that myself and in accordance with the scoring criteria, yeah. And obviously that just would have been such a special moment. Volk becoming a double champ of the two of the toughest divisions, the most stacked division in the world in any promotion is lightweight, and for him to be doing that going up against someone that's people were so hyped on, and to do it in Australia, we all thought that he did it. It was a very special moment regardless, but I think that would have been just nuts, and to sort of be like, yeah, I was there for that.
Now, you just said one thing. You're an official as well.
Yeah. So, and I also commentate fight shows as well, like all combat sports, so not just MMA. I commentate. I'm trained to officiate as well. Obviously, I fight. So combat sports is my life. And I'm also part of an industry advisory group, providing feedback to the Combat Sports Authority in Australia as well. So it's
you
my
live
whole
and breathe this sport more than people know, right?
yeah, but it all helps. It all helps because as a fighter, I kind of know what I would or wouldn't like a commentator to say, and being trained to officiate, I kind of have an understanding of what the judges are looking for in each one of the different sports, or which helps commentate. But also as a fighter, I feel like you need a good understanding of the scoring criteria. So if you cannot get the fight done, you can't stop someone. You need a good understanding of, well, how do I win? How do I win if I can't stop someone? Because I think a lot of people, even within the combat sports community, don't actually understand how the scoring criteria is actually used. And I think that plays a role sometimes in people getting really angry about results. And it's one thing if you don't agree with the scoring criteria, but unfortunately the scoring criteria is the way that it is. So yeah, I think it definitely helps you if you can understand why and how people are scoring, officials are scoring something some way.
Yeah, it's definitely something you guys always want to know. Now, we talked about changing the event. If you could change something about, the way MMA is run as a whole, would it be open scoring so you guys know what's going on live? Like universally, not just this event or this promotion, etc. Everyone should do that.
I really like open scoring. I have no problem with it. I understand why some people are hesitant, and I think it gives transparency, and I think it gives accountability to the officials,
because there is none right now.
Yeah, and so that's the issue. Regardless whether you use open scoring or not, I think there just needs to be a little bit more transparency, and accountability for decisions made. Because the thing is, as I said, like the wider combat sports community in terms of fans quite often don't actually understand the scoring criteria and how it is actually used. And so a lot of the times when they're getting really, really upset over something, sometimes it is the right decision from what that official saw, because again, they don't see the video that we see.
Yeah, they don't get. See,
see it.
that's the problem. Like I said, like if they're ringside, whatever. Like I think it should be muted, like so they can't hear you, but they can see. Like you can look, but you also have a monitor where you can see other angles. Like if they're being impaired by one of the
Yeah.
one
The
of
only
the ring post pillars, however you want to call it.
Yeah, the only issue is there then though, what's the difference between, okay, I watch it from this angle, and I can't see exactly what the response of something is, but like that same thing happens with camera angles. Sometimes you don't see it on from one camera angle, but we can't give them replays either because they have to make a live decision there and then. Like they don't wait until the end of the 1 minute break between rounds. At the end of the round, they have to make a decision, and it has to be based on them and their ideas
I
without
think
any other influence.
they should be given as much time as the corners are given to talk to the athlete to hand in their cards to the officials.
I understand. Like again, my issue is, and I think what they're trying to avoid is that I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes there are certain things that can happen in a round that don't necessarily get shown on the replays. And if you watch replays and additional camera angles,
that's where I think they shut off. That's where I think you should shut them off.
Yeah, so like
they can't pull anything back up to go look back over or anything like that.
Yeah, and that's essentially what's happening by because they don't watch monitors at all. They just watch the fight live from where they're sitting, so that there is no other potential influence. Because again, as we know, sometimes if someone's super hyped and the bigger name, they get all the replays, even if they didn't really have that successful of a round. So you're trying to take away any potential
love.
Yeah, so you're trying to take away that. But then also, I think the other thing that like the wider community doesn't realize is they think that they're just sitting there and they've got that full scoring card so they can see what they've done. That's not how it works, especially at the big levels, is they actually only fill out for that one round and they hand it. And then it's a separate person that takes those separate round cards and writes them down on the overall scoring card. So they may actually forget, if they're doing their job properly and they're being super present, concentrating on just the round that they're doing, and you've got a 5-round title fight, by the time they're scoring the 5th round, they probably don't remember who they scored what, if it's a close fight, for the other 4 rounds. So it's not like they're sitting there going, oh, okay, I've scored 2 to this person and 2 to this person. Who do I want to win the fight? Like, that's not how that works. So they don't have that in front of them. They do it per round. They give it to someone.
1 round, hand it off. 1 round, hand it off. 1 round.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and someone separate is doing the adding up. Someone separate is doing, all of that. And like at the end of the day, the way that it is, I think, is just because they're trying to take away any potential for any promotion, because obviously the officials and the officiating body is separate to any promotion. Yeah, they're trying to stop them from being able to influence in any way, shape, or form, because they always have their favorites, or their people that they're building up, or their people that bring them in lots of money, or
this one sells a lot of tickets. This one has a big social media following.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. So, and it's one of those things. And as we've said, like the 3 judges are also the opposite sides. And so something can happen where someone does get really, really damaged. And so say they're on this side of the cage, and these 2, maybe it's like a short uppercut or something, and you see their eyes like roll back in their head, but they don't get dropped or anything. Only these 2 judges see their head getting snapped back and their eyes rolling back in their head, and the one over here just it doesn't see how much it's damaged them or how much it's hurt them. Like, that's why you get why you get differences of opinion. And if it's close, and they've missed one of
Well, you still there, Danielle? Uh-oh. Let's give her a minute. Let's give her 1 minute, folks. Let's give her, and let's play another one of our sponsors. All right, gonna give Danielle 1 more minute, I guess. I'll quick talk a little bit of stuff that happened at the this past weekend at UFC. Obviously, some big things happened beforehand. We talked about it that Stephen Thompson's opponent didn't make weight, but not only did that, apparently the UFC did not pay Wonder Boy his show money after refusing to take the fight with Michael Pieri there. So that's an interesting one. I believe it's in their contracts now that it's not guaranteed that you get show and or win money when it comes to that. Yeah, she said her internet's a little choppy. She'll be back in a second here, folks. But there she is. 5. Let's see. It's still loading there. Can you hear us, Danielle? There she is.
Yeah.
There we
Don't know
go.
what happened there.
And now that this is the beauty part about being on the pre-record, because all that gets edited
Pre-recorded. Yeah.
But I was just talking about why you were going. I don't know if how we're going to use that, but did you see after the waves this past week? Wonder Boy declines to have the fight, but they don't give him his show money anymore. And apparently, according to some of our media members, if you look into the UFC contracts, there is no show and money anymore. It's either you make your contracted weight and fight, and then you go from there.
Yeah, so the biggest thing that I would change in MMA would definitely be the pay structure in general. It's like, could you imagine telling Michael Jordan, who has had an injury on the court, yeah, cool, this week, because you're not playing, I'm not going to pay you. That would never happen. Would never happen. And so I think this sport would, like, if you get signed for a certain amount of fights, you should be getting consistent money regardless. You are signed. You are a contractor. You should be getting paid regardless. And then you can still do like win bonuses if you want, or maybe not win bonuses, but performance bonuses or whatever. But it should be like that you are getting paid to train, to fight for whatever the duration is, and maybe they don't give out contracts per fight. Instead of it being a 5-fight contract, it's now a 2-year contract. It's a time thing. And obviously there can be stipulations if you're not meeting certain things. Like obviously it's that they could still terminate the contract, which is what they do anyway. But it should be that you get paid you get paid an income like any other sports person. And obviously, as I said, when you turn up and you fight, there's still performance bonuses, or there may be win bonuses potentially. But like the idea also that you can rock up and put in all that time, effort, energy, and fight and only make half the money that you've been guaranteed to, like, because there's always going to be one person in that fight that doesn't win. Like, I would much rather turn up knowing that this is the money I'm going to get, and there is a potential for a performance bonus, and have some security in this sport, because there is no security at all. And on top of that, if you look at any other sport, soccer, netball, whatever it is, baseball, hockey, whatever, they have this is what you're getting paid. This is your contract for the next year. You're getting paid this, right? But on top of that, they don't pay for anything. So they don't pay to train. They don't pay to go to whatever sport it is. Like they're provided travel, accommodation,
etc. takes care of those things.
Yeah, they haven't. Their training is covered. Their physio is covered. Their nutrition is covered. Most of the time, that team actually feeds them. Like they're not paying for the physical cost of the food, let alone also the nutritionist, also any kind of rehab or recovery things. They're not paying for any bloods or medicals. They're not paying for any of these things. So when you say, a basketball player gets paid this much, they actually get paid that much, and they everything else they don't pay for. Whereas as a fighter, you only get paid, one, when you fight, but two, you pay for everything yourself. So when people think, oh, this person made 20 grand for one fight, and you're like, yeah, cool. When you take taxes, they've probably got 15, and then you're like, all right, can you live off 15 grand a year, let alone live off it as an athlete?
You said that, but let's put your manager cost and all that and that other stuff that they have to.
Yeah, all of it, like that wouldn't even pay for that. It wouldn't even pay to live, let alone anything else. So I think that would be the number one thing that I would change, is that you sign fighters for a period of time, like any other sport. You pay them like any other sport, and therefore you also have healthcare or whatever it is, like they're getting paid regardless, because the fact is majority of injuries happen in training, not in a fight.
And another thing, like I want to get your take on this one too, like because we're touching on the subject, like everyone's making this big deal of the Rock sitting there helping this UFC fighter out, because he had like $7 in his account, but before his last fight or whatever, and he's doing X, Y, and Z that do a little extra for this guy. So why does it have to take for some athlete who is under the contract of the UFC have to have a situation like that, and then like you bring The Rock there to do what? A publicity stunt? I wouldn't want to have me sat down in a chair and then have like the Rock give you this fake like I care about you buddy speech. I mean, that's how it looks on my end. Breaking up again. All right. Let's give her a minute here. Let's see. Popping back in now. Let's see what else I can do here. I guess everyone's going to get a quick little preview of this. We're back now.
To the lobby, and I don't know. It kicked me out of the stream, and I was like, I don't know what's going on.
You gotta love technology, right?
Yeah. It always works, except for when you need it.
Yeah, exactly. I guess let's try to pick it up right where we were. Like I said, that whole little PR stunt thing that UFC did with the kid in the Rock. Like,
it shouldn't take that. Like that's a band-aid for one person. It doesn't that doesn't help. Like at the end of the day, every fighter is in that situation. Like there's people at the top level in the biggest promotions in the world that still have a full-time job and are trying to be a full-time athlete. Could you imagine that in any other sport?
It's crazy. Only MMA fighters really truly go through this. And apparently, you want to put yourself through this. I came across this one on your social, the double champ there.
Well, yeah.
Is that the goal though? Getting over here, getting into the UFC, or is it just would a PFL do for you?
Yeah.
Bare
to
knuckle,
be honest,
if they came calling, was that something you
No, I'm not interested in bare knuckle. MMA is what I want. Any of the big promotions, I'm happy to have a crack at that have my division. Obviously the big ones, I definitely want to get there. I can use at the end of the day, I just want to do what I love. That photo that you've stolen from me there, that one actually was my goal to achieve within the end of my amateur career, and it was to become a triple weight division champion and be the first person to do it and hold all three at the same time. And there you are. So I actually did achieve that. So three weight divisions, all within all within about a year and a half. And holding them all at the same time. So there's been plenty of people within the sport that over the entirety of their career, they may have competed at three different divisions and maybe won titles. Again, there's been lots of double champs. And yeah, there have been people that have won titles over the span of their entire career in three weight divisions. That's very rare. It's only a couple of people. But I don't think there's been anyone that's actually won them all and held them all at the same time. So that was featherweight, bantamweight, and flyweight. So that's a huge weight difference between all of those.
It's something I always talk about here. I think not just the men, but even the women. You guys need some more weight classes. I know it's hard to kind of promote all that stuff and have a lot of.
Well, the only way you're going to have people not miss weight and be purposely doing it, is either much, much, much bigger fines, which I think they need to do anyway, or much bigger repercussions if you're missing weight, but also more weight divisions, because the
I
jump
think when you
between
get to the bigger
divisions,
shows, they can't be like all right, you miss weight, you can't be ranked for 16 months.
yeah, I agree. Like, and the severity of how much they miss weight by as well should play a factor. Like, if they're only
You miss
just
3 pounds, maybe you like as we were just talking about. Maybe instead of 16 months, you're 6 months off the rankings.
yeah. Whereas
Anything more than that, we start talking about longer time.
yeah, and that's it. Like, there's just not harsh enough penalties. It's one of the only way to cheat. And the stats are there in terms of how much a performance advantage it is in these weight based sports. Is that out of 100 times that happens, the person who successfully made weight wins that fight once, maybe twice. The other 98 or 99 times, the person who missed weight wins. So, especially when you're going to get your normal money, your win money, and then obviously potentially, a performance bonus or whatever. But like, it doesn't matter that they're going to take a certain percentage from your purse, because you double your purse by winning, and you climb the ranks, and you get the next opportunity even though you didn't make weight. Like, that makes no sense to me. So there's that side of it as well. I just, yeah, there needs to be,
We could talk hours about this because there's so many
yeah.
different aspects to it that we can talk about.
But like, at the end of the day, having someone, and as we said before, like a PR stunt regardless, doesn't actually help the situation at all. And I feel so bad for Wonder Boy, not getting paid when he did nothing wrong. Like, at the end of the
Like
day,
someone was like, "It's nice to be in a situation where you can afford to not be paid to go fight that weekend." I mean,
yeah,
at the same day, like go cut the last few pounds you needed. It was 3 pounds. I mean, I'm not sitting there. I'm not no doctor. I can't tell you what's what, but like maybe you should make sure those situations are you're in a better situation with that. Don't know if the kid was having proper training, if he's dealing with an injury. Like, there could issues that we probably don't know, but like I'm not making excuses for anyone. You guys are professionals. You're the first and foremost thing you guys are paid to do is make weight. It's the first thing.
exactly.
It's the first thing.
It's the first thing, and it.
And then
Like,
there's
at
the
the
other
end of
thing.
the day,
There's when we're talking about this, like if you know you're going to miss weight, like there's other things that could happen that you guys can predetermine agree for.
yeah,
But as you getting days closer to the event, like, hey, like I'm having a problem, I'm dealing with this. Can we do catch it at 175 instead of 170 because I'm not going to make it down there.
exactly. But you'll find a lot of people who aren't going to make weight don't want to do that because they don't necessarily want it to be a level playing field, or it's one of those things where they don't realize that they think that they're still going to make it, or they'll just find a
or
way.
someone,
But
or they're
your
gonna
body
take the
has
fight.
limitations.
You're not going to not take the fight.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like, a lot of people bank on the fact that the other person's not going to get paid if they don't take the fight. So then that's exactly why a lot of people still take the fight when people miss weight. And like, seeing someone like Wonder Boy say, no, that's not okay, is actually better for the sport moving forward.
You need people
because
like him to do that.
Yeah, you need more people to do that, but more people don't want to do that because what we've just seen happen, where he's now not getting paid. So he's done all of this work, and he's paid for all of the training, he's paid for his dietitian, and he's done, he's flown his corners there, and he's, he would have outlaid so much money in, preparing for that fight, and now not to get paid when he's not done anything wrong. Like, the onus should be on the person that didn't make weight, not the person who did. But yeah, so I think that's why they have done that, to try and stop other people being like, oh, well, I'm not going to do that because this person's done the wrong thing. And so, like, from a promotional perspective, they're doing it because they want to save money and they want to stop other people from pulling out of fights. But at the end of the day, what you should be doing is still paying that guy, not paying the guy who didn't make weight. And you should be fining him, even if it's a future thing. The next time you fight, you're getting less money.
It looks
you're
like
getting
the UFC
fined.
actually punished Kazmat for what he did last year.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking like, where is he out? Maybe the UFC shelved him because they didn't want to put him in a big billing.
Yeah, and so they should, to be honest. That
was so egregious, though.
He destroyed an entire card. Like, the UFC was so lucky that the fighters and the combination of fighters that they had on that card were absolute gangsters who were just like, I don't care. I'll fight anyone. Make it happen. Yeah.
Hey, let's switch weight classes.
Yeah, let's switch weight classes. Let's switch opponents. Let's throw it all out the window. Like, they were so lucky with who they had on that card.
But
because
that's what we're talking about. Like, with things like that, the sport has come so far, but we still have to have accountability on both sides. From our athletic commissions to our promoters to our athletes to our managers, we've all come a long way, 25 30 years since this thing really kind of taken off, and we still got a lot to go. Everyone talks about UFC
accountability and transparency.
There's a lot more that needs to be done on all
ends. 100%. And that's it. Like, if they are doing things, like, I'd just like to see some transparency, and that's not just on the UFC. That's on every promotion at every level. That's an industry, like, sports wide thing, is that, accountability is one thing, but like, they could be doing, and everyone could be doing the right thing, but if there's no transparency to show what they're actually doing and show what the repercussions were and show, why a decision has been made one way or anything like that, then if it's all happening behind closed doors, then we're kind of in the same spot. Like, it needs to be out there, needs to be transparent so that everybody can see and everybody is on the same playing field. And hopefully the sport is still progressing and we're seeing changes constantly happen for the better. It is slow, but it is happening. So hopefully, we see that continue to change, and we see, better conditions for fighters in general, because without fighters, the sport doesn't happen. You don't have promotions, you don't make money.
Hollywood's going to be in trouble in about 2 or 3 months when they run out of stuff that they've already recorded. And anyone who hasn't paid attention, let's stand up for the Writers Guild and the Screen Actors Guild for doing what they're doing, making sure everyone's being taken care of the way they should be, people being paid what they should, people getting the proper credits where they should, and things of that nature. This all started because of AI. It really hasn't. It's hilarious. You all started putting AI and not paying people and stuff like that. The worst part is because they weren't paying the people running the AI, and that's what really kicked this whole thing off.
Yeah. It's funny how things work out like that. Hey,
the people who are making everything run right, from television side to the athlete side of it. I'm not sitting there saying like make sure that these guys are filthy rich. I'm just saying what the big honey pot is. Make sure everyone in your pack is getting enough honey. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
Now, a few more before we get ready to kind of wrap it up, and I'll let you do your shout outs there at the end. One of the things I came across when I was looking at your page, are you doing a podcast?
I am doing a podcast. So it's called Drop Bear Downpour podcast, and we only started it not that long ago. The first 2 episodes are out. I've got the next 2 coming very, very soon. And it's a video podcast. You obviously can just listen to it audio as well. And I do put the sort of any video content that we've talked about in the episode up on the stories on the Instagram page. So if you listen to it just audio, you can just jump over and just see just the short video clips and stuff. But yeah, it's been so much fun already speaking about, what it's like, as a fighter, putting in some behind the scenes footage and stuff so people can see what it's like out the back, what it's like for my partner as well, being a partner of a fighter, because it's, a very different perspective. I speak to some, other fighters and guests and people, and speak to them about a whole range of different topics and stuff as well. So yeah, it's been so much fun to kick off a podcast. And hopefully people tune in and love that one as well.
Well, definitely gonna be keeping my eyes and ears out for it. But what we like to typically do here at the end is kind of throw the proverbial microphone over you. Play a quick little video intro. Anyone you would like to thank, training partners, teammates. Shoot out your social media sites, any sponsors you have, anything you're doing with even outside the combat sports world that you would like the people to know about. The time is yours, my friend.
Hey guys, my name's Danielle Drop Bear Curtis, and you can find me on any social media by searching Drop Bear MMA. As we spoke about, I do have a podcast, a brand new podcast that only started not too long ago. It is a video podcast, and it is called Drop Bear Downpour, and you can find that on any social media, and as well as YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts by searching Drop Bear Downpour podcast. And I'd just like to thank everyone that has followed me on my journey, whether you've been here from day one or maybe you're just finding me for the first time on this podcast. I really appreciate everyone that's been a part of my journey, that follows, that interacts with me. Feel free to send me a message if you ever, take any photos, throw up the Drop Bear claws and tag me so I can reshare. Thank you to all the sponsors and businesses that support me and my journey as well. And obviously, thank you to my amazing partner as well. I couldn't do the journey without him. Jared is his name. And yeah, thank you to everyone that follows along. And I hope to have a really long career and to take you all with me and make this journey ours together. And obviously, thank you guys for having me on the podcast as well. I've had a great time, and maybe we can catch up again in the future once I'm in one of the big promotions.
Well, we definitely want to have you back on here. I got to know where you're getting the shirts at, though. Where are you getting these shirts at from, my friend?
These ones, the Drop Bear ones.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, we actually obviously made them. So the first pre-order of them we did not that long ago. But it was kind of a rush before one of my fights, so we're actually going to be selling them again. So they're from an Australian company that actually supports fighters. So they do fight wear and supporter shirts and stuff called Havoc. So I'm going to do another run of them or similar again soon. So if you tune in on my socials, I'll put up the links there.
All right. Well, definitely appreciate the time there, Danielle. Looking forward to seeing where the next fight's going to take you, which promotion it's going to be, which country it's going to be. It's definitely looking forward to having you back on here again, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I've had a great time. I love obviously speaking anything combat related, so this has just been so much fun.
We try to make it fun. Appreciate your time, and again, we definitely got to bring you back on here and have some fun with you.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. All right, folks, that was Danielle Drop Bear Curtis. Definitely a fun one. She's definitely someone we could definitely peel back many layers on and have some fun with. That should put a wrap on this one for tonight. I'm Steve. This was another episode of the Wanna Fight About It podcast. I will see you.